Hi, I'm Thea and I'm in 10th grade. I wanted to share with you one thing that's really important to me. So coming to the school, I've been granted many opportunities in the fields of academics, sports, and the performing arts. One of them being the International Schools Theatre Association, or ISTA. And I'm extremely honored that my very first festival 2 years ago was the most rewarding experience I've ever had. It was called Unseen Stories, Unforgettable Lives. Our theme was regarding the refugees currently residing in Hong Kong. At this festival, I met a refugee who was an African man and was a human rights lawyer. So unfortunately, he was a threat to the government of the country where he lived. They gave him 3 days to leave home or they would kill him. He took only the pair of clothes he was wearing and he was off on a plane. He was still in shock, but mustered the courage to tell his story whilst trying to crack some jokes. He laughed about how he was sad that the only shoes he took with him were the pair of Jesus sandals that he was wearing. I also met another refugee who was a woman who could barely tell her story as she was sick at heart over being away from her kids and husband. She was a refugee from the Philippines. Her husband was a journalist being hunted down, and because she is connected with him, she was being hunted down as well. If she goes back home, she will get shot. As she told her story, she explained how her small children try again and again to contact her, and how she's unable to help them because refugees are not allowed to work legally in Hong Kong. To this day, I can still remember the silence in the room and the pain she expressed as she kept crying endlessly. The fact that politicians and country leaders are cruel enough to treat humans the way they do, I just find this so appalling. These people, though broken, showed hidden strength, courage, and bravery. They're the most resilient people I've ever met, and the tears that came out of my eyes that day changed my entire perspective of how lucky I truly am and how I should use my voice to speak up for the voiceless. According to the United Nations, there are over 60 million refugees and displaced people in this world right now. That is more than the entire population of Italy, or 8 times the population of Hong Kong. Refugees are people who have fled their countries and are unable to return back home due to well-founded fears of persecution. They experience a perilous and dangerous journey and have limited access to basic human needs of food, water, shelter, etc. When they arrive at a refugee camp, they are often mistreated, disrespected, and dehumanized. These are the things that became clear to the members of my grade during the recent simulation at Crossroads. "Please get me out of here," were the words that were running through my mind from the very start of the simulation, and I was ready to leave. Soldiers started shooting at us and yelling at us. They threw food, planted weapons, and even got a few women and put them in dark rooms that acted as cages to keep women before soldiers could rape them. We were powerless human beings that were exploited, and for us, that only lasted for less than an hour. One thing that truly resonated with me from the simulation was the number 14. That is the percentage of what we experienced during the simulation compared to what refugees experience in real life. 14%. I found that absolutely heartbreaking. Our grade learned that a lot of refugees come from Syria, Afghanistan, Somalia, and other countries, but one crisis that's closer to us is the Rohingya refugee crisis in Myanmar. With a population of 1 million, the Rohingya are Muslims who until recently resided in Myanmar's western state of Rakhine. They've been forced to leave unless they want to be raped, watch their houses burn down, get attacked by soldiers, or be captured and probably killed. This mass exodus began in August 2017, making the situation the fastest growing refugee crisis in the world. Most of the Rohingya people have sought refuge in Bangladesh, and now there are more than 700,000 refugees there. Most living areas are located on precarious deforested slopes. Diseases are bound to spread as makeshift toilets are sometimes less than a meter away from their source of water or their houses. Very soon, thousands of people could die from landslides, flooding, and diseases when the strong winds and rain will hit Bangladesh this rainy season. We watch them suffer and hope that someone will do something, but we can't forget what Albert Einstein once said. The world will not be destroyed by those who do evil, but by those who watch them without doing anything. What could you possibly do in response to what you see? Well, Jordan Hattar is a person who most of you met when he came to talk to us about his project in Syria. He managed to raise $6,000 for 2 caravans for a refugee camp in Jordan, which then caused a ripple effect. 2 other groups raised enough money to get 2 more caravans, and 6 months later, governments gave 20,000 more caravans to the camp. Another person who is doing something other than watching is Serena Glynn. She's a friend I made at camp this year, and she's only 24. She is genuine, selfless, and compassionate, and the kind of person who I aspire to be. One thing she said to me is that the goal is to go from noticing to acting. It's all about action. Simple as that. And that is exactly what she's aiming towards. Her goal is to study towards working the immigration field for refugees. She's been empowered by stories she has heard and is now using that power to make a difference in the lives of refugees. For her, everyone deserves a chance to live a good life. It's a good life that you could easily contribute to. All I usually hear is, "That is so sad," or "poor thing," making it sound like you care. If you really care, you will start acting upon the things you're learning. We can all start by educating ourselves, then educating others. Donate to organizations and volunteer your time. You could also join other 10th graders in Dai who are trying to help ease the refugee crisis. Realize that your small actions or contributions mean possibly saving lives. And if everyone does something to help, we would have saved thousands of lives and have kept precious potential that the refugees could offer this world. I am trying to fight for the lives of refugees because they are silently fighting to survive. That is their fight, and the world often chooses to silence it. And I am not going to let that happen. I am choosing to use my voice. Before Jordan Hattar, or the girls who are running the refugee race, did you even know that there's a refugee crisis going on? Well, I'm sure now you do. So what are you going to do about it? Thank you.